Thank you for clicking on this video. Remember to like, share and subscribe to continued stories. Also remember to click the notification bell so you can be notified whenever a new content is uploaded. Ouidah, a coastal city in Benin, holds a somber distinction. It was once a major hub of the transatlantic slave trade. For over 4 centuries, this port witnessed the forced departure of millions of Africans. They were torn from their homes and families. They were sent across the Atlantic in chains. Ouidah stands as a stark reminder of this dark chapter in human history. It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Ouidah's location made it a prime location for European slave traders. Its sheltered harbor could accommodate large ships. The surrounding region was densely populated. This provided a steady supply of captives. The Kingdom of Dahomey, which controlled Ouidah for much of the slave trade era, actively participated in the trade. They exchanged captives for guns, textiles, and other goods. The horrors of the slave trade are deeply etched into the memory of Ouidah. The city is dotted with sites that bear witness to the trade's brutality. From the slave auction block to the door of no return, each location tells a story of unimaginable suffering and loss. The legacy of this trade continues to shape the identity of Ouidah. It serves as a reminder of the importance of fighting for justice and equality for all. By the 1860s, the transatlantic slave trade was in its final decades. Many nations had already declared it illegal. Yet, the trade continued. It flourished in some areas. Cuba and Brazil, with their insatiable demand for slave labor on sugar plantations, remained major destinations. The 1860s saw increased international pressure to end the abhorrent trade. The United States, having outlawed the importation of slaves in 1808, actively patrolled the African coast. Britain, a leading force in the abolition movement, also worked to intercept slave ships. Despite these efforts, the illegal trade persisted. It continued to devastate lives and communities along the African coast. Ouidah, though its trade had diminished, remained a symbol of the trade's enduring legacy. Ouidah was not the only African port that played a significant role in the transatlantic slave trade. Luanda, located in present-day Angola, was another major hub. In fact, Luanda surpassed Ouidah in the sheer volume of enslaved Africans transported through its port. Both Ouidah and Luanda were strategically located. They provided European traders access to the interior of Africa. Both cities became centers of trade. They were points of cultural exchange, albeit tragically one-sided. Despite their shared history, Ouidah and Luanda developed distinct identities within the slave trade. Ouidah became known for its association with the Kingdom of Dahomey and its role in supplying slaves to the Americas. Luanda, on the other hand, was more closely linked to the Portuguese Empire and its vast colonial holdings in Brazil. The transatlantic slave trade was a tragedy of immense proportions. It is impossible to quantify the suffering it caused. Millions of Africans were forcibly removed from their homes. They were subjected to unimaginable cruelty. They were treated as mere commodities. The journey from the African interior to the coast was often perilous. Captives were forced to walk for weeks or even months. They were bound together with ropes or chains. Many died along the way from exhaustion, disease, or starvation. Upon reaching the coast, the captives faced further horrors. They were held in cramped and unsanitary conditions in coastal dungeons. They awaited transportation across the Atlantic. The conditions aboard the slave ships were deplorable. The enslaved Africans were packed tightly together below deck. They often had little to no room to move. Disease spread rapidly in these confined spaces. Mortality rates were shockingly high. Those who survived the journey arrived in the Americas traumatized and dehumanized. The path that enslaved Africans took from the holding pens to the waiting ships became known as the Route of Tears. This short but emotionally charged path is marked by monuments and sculptures. Each one serves as a solemn reminder of the trade's brutality. The route typically began at the slave auction block, where men, women, and children were inspected and sold to the highest bidder. From there, they were marched through the town, often past sacred trees and shrines, their final glimpses of their homeland. The route culminated at the door of no return, a symbolic archway that marked the point of no return. Today, the Route of Tears is a pilgrimage site for people from all over the world. They come to pay their respects to the victims of the slave trade. They reflect on the enduring legacy of this dark chapter in human history. Walking this route is an emotional experience. It is a stark reminder of the human capacity for both great evil and great resilience. A place of refuge and remembrance. Just outside Ouidah lies a sacred forest. It provided a sanctuary for those fleeing enslavement. This sacred grove, a testament to the resilience of African traditions, is filled with shrines and sculptures. They honor the spirits of those who were lost to the slave trade. During the height of the slave trade, those who managed to escape their captors often sought refuge in this forest. Here, protected by the dense vegetation and the spirits of their ancestors, they could find temporary safety. The forest became a symbol of resistance. It was a place of hope for those seeking freedom. Today, the sacred forest remains an important spiritual site for the people of Ouidah. It is a place where they come to remember their ancestors. They connect with their cultural heritage. The forest also serves as a reminder of the indomitable spirit of those who resisted enslavement. It speaks to the power of hope in the face of adversity. The transatlantic slave trade cast a long shadow over Ouidah. The psychological scars of this trade run deep. They continue to affect the descendants of those who were enslaved. The trauma of this period is intergenerational. It manifests in various ways. For centuries, the people of Ouidah lived with the memory of their ancestors being stolen away. The social fabric of their communities was torn apart. Families were separated. Cultural traditions were disrupted. The psychological toll of this forced migration continues to resonate today. The legacy of the slave trade is also evident in economic disparities. The trade stripped Africa of much of its labor force. It hindered economic development. This has contributed to the ongoing challenges faced by many African nations. Despite the horrors of the slave trade, the people of Ouidah and the African diaspora have shown remarkable resilience. They have preserved their cultural traditions. They have built new lives in the face of adversity. Their story is one of strength, determination, and the enduring power of the human spirit. In the Americas, enslaved Africans found ways to hold on to their heritage. They developed new cultural forms, blending African traditions with those of their new surroundings. Music, dance, and storytelling became powerful forms of expression. They helped to preserve a sense of identity and community. The descendants of enslaved Africans have also played a pivotal role in the fight for social justice and equality. From the abolition movement to the civil rights movement, they have challenged oppression and fought for a more just world. Today, Ouidah is a place of pilgrimage for people of African descent from all over the world. They come to pay homage to their ancestors. They learn about their history. They connect with their cultural heritage. The city has become a symbol of the enduring legacy of the slave trade. It is a place where people can reflect on the past and work towards a more just future. The government of Benin has taken steps to preserve the memory of the slave trade. They have declared Ouidah a UNESCO World Heritage Site. They have constructed museums and memorials. These sites serve as important educational tools. They raise awareness about the horrors of the slave trade. They honor the memory of its victims. Ouidah is also home to a vibrant arts and culture scene. Artists and musicians draw inspiration from the city's rich history and cultural heritage. Their work explores themes of identity, memory, and reconciliation. The transatlantic slave trade was a global tragedy. It had far-reaching consequences that continue to shape the world today. The forced migration of millions of Africans had a profound impact on the demographics, economies, and cultures of the Americas. It led to the development of new societies and cultures. It also created lasting inequalities. The slave trade fueled the rise of European colonialism and imperialism. The wealth generated by the trade enriched European nations. It gave them the resources to expand their empires. This led to the exploitation of people and resources around the globe. The legacy of the slave trade is still evident in the racial disparities that exist in many parts of the world. The trade created a system of racial hierarchy. It continues to have a lasting impact on social and economic opportunities. Ouidah stands as a powerful reminder of the horrors of the transatlantic slave trade. It also serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. By remembering the past, we can learn from it. We can work to create a more just and equitable world for all. It is essential to acknowledge the lasting impact of the slave trade on the world. We must confront the legacies of racism and inequality. We must work to dismantle the systems that perpetuate them. Only then can we truly honor the memory of the victims of the slave trade. Ouidah, with its poignant history and vibrant culture, offers a space for reflection, healing, and hope. It reminds us that even in the face of unimaginable cruelty, the human spirit can endure. It challenges us to work towards a future where all people are treated with dignity and respect. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in this content, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell.